everybody. We've got a full house today. So it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this ceremony, a ceremony that celebrates the leadership, vision, and tenure of our 30th Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. Look around the room, ladies and gentlemen. You will see portraits of the many men and one woman who have led this great department. And that reminds me to say that we are very honored here today to have Secretary Block and Secretary Veneman joining this ceremony. Thank you very much. Also in the house, we have Secretary Sally Jewell from Interior Department, Governor Terry McAuliffe and Dorothy McAuliffe, thank you for being here. Oh. And Dan Glickman is squirming in his seat. He says, Kathleen, you know, I think of you as one of my good friends. You work for me, and you forgot to say my portrait's on the wall, Dan Glickman in the front row. We have Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, who did such a great job running HHS for President Obama in the House. And I am just not going to go down the road of naming all the members of Congress that are here and all the important leaders of this department because I will fail. I'll forget some people like you just saw with Dan Glickman. So just thank you all for being here and helping pay tribute today to a great man. So back to the portraits. I love these portraits. I would walk around and around this building. If you haven't looked them over, they're hung in reverse chronological order, with the older paintings upstairs as you go. Today's portrait unveiling is part of our tradition here. Tradition. So I have to tell you, I was a little surprised when Tom Vilsack first arrived at USDA. After hearing us refer to his upstairs office suite as the cage, as it was commonly referred to, he instructed us to abandon that language. Some of you might remember that, right? And I said, oh, come on, boss, that's tradition. That's part of the fun. But you know what? I didn't get it. Some tradition is good and some tradition is bad. Tom Vilsack didn't see that office as a cage. He saw his job as Secretary of Agriculture as the job of a lifetime. He certainly wasn't going to be constrained in any way, because he understood that he had important work to do. He wanted to be accessible to USDA employees in Metro DC, around the country, in fact, around the globe. And he certainly wanted rural America to understand that USDA is its home away from home, nothing barred or held back. Rather, Tom Vilsack's embrace of tradition was this. He reminded us all, frequently, that Abraham Lincoln founded USDA and called it the People's Department. One of the first years we served together, he gave me a print of Abraham Lincoln to remind me of that, and it's something that I treasure. So let us begin our ceremony. We are here today to honor a man who has great capacity to learn and a hunger to do so, a man who uses his talents to champion those in need, those facing food insecurity, communities without access to good jobs and hospitals and health care of any sort, people contending with discrimination. He has used his talents to advance conservation, hand in hand with our farmers and ranchers. He has fought for resources to keep our firefighters and our forests that they defend safe. He is a forceful communicator that we all want on our side. Along with his team and supported by his partner, Krysta Vilsack, Tom has led USDA over these past 8 years to record high achievements in so many areas. Most importantly, he has succeeded in opening USDA's doors wider, inviting in constituents who may not have believed that government was there to help them. The People's Department. Secretary Vilsack, you did Abe Lincoln proud. I'm sure I speak for everyone in the room here today. It has been an honor to serve with you, to watch you at work. Congratulations, sir.
Wow, what a great room. Good afternoon, everyone. And to the members of the President's Cabinet who are here, former members of the President's Cabinet, members of Congress, former members of Congress, all of you here at the Department of Agriculture, it's my pleasure to be here. As the President's Cabinet Secretary, it is really a distinct honor and privilege to be here this afternoon to pay great honor to a man who will go down as one of this nation's great Secretaries of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. I'm also very proud to call him and his wife, Krysta, my friends, despite Iowa's upset of my Wolverines earlier this year. We now have Ohio State to be even angrier at, but do you know who that is? Okay, all right. Could he be removed? I shouldn't have even brought it up. See, that's my fault. That's right, exactly. Tom Vilsack, we're here to recognize your outstanding service, of course, whether in strengthening this nation's rural economy, leading the President's Rural Council, opening new markets for U.S. agricultural exports, promoting food security across the globe. You've done so much, sir, and we are so proud. I'm particularly proud to note that Tom Vilsack is also the longest-serving member of President Obama's cabinet, having served since January of 2009. So much will be said today and will forever be said about your work to strengthen America's rural economy. But I'd actually like to add something very personal about my work with Tom, demonstrating his commitment to urban communities as well. So I hail from Baltimore, Maryland. And after the Freddie Gray riots in Baltimore, several members of the President's Cabinet went to do work there to see what we could do to turn things around. And we went to the high school that was really kind of the point that people would oftentimes say was where the riot started because of these children who got let out of high school and then burned the city of Baltimore. Well, I got to know a lot of those young people. A lot of them were actually very frightened when they left school that day. But anyway, here's the most important part of this. A young woman said to us in one of our early listening sessions, she was a 16-year-old to high school, she said, you know, we look out the window and we see the drug boys on the corners and we worry about what will happen to us when we leave school today. And she said, we'd like to really have more effective programs after school, especially home ec programs. Now, I hadn't heard that term since I was in high school, but I knew what she meant. And so, fast forward to April of 2015, Tom Vilsack and I went to that high school and planted an urban garden at that high school, and some trees as well. And that is now a flourishing place. They learned a lot about urban agriculture. I think you talked about the millions of dollars that could be made as entrepreneurs by planting just an acre of collard greens, maybe. It was something like that, right? But here's what matters the most about that. Those young folks were at the White House just a couple weeks ago to visit the First Lady's garden. And it wasn't just to see it, but to get some ideas about what they could do to their garden as well. But I think about what that young woman said that day about looking out that window and looking at the corner and being afraid. And it is now literally true, because of the work of Tom Vilsack and other members of the President's team, that she can look out on a garden with great pride and great beauty. And so, Tom, for that, I am so deeply grateful for your work. So on behalf of President Obama, all of my colleagues at the White House, and I dare say members of the Cabinet, your colleagues, congratulations, my friend, and thank you very much for your service.
Good afternoon. My name is Arturo Rodriguez, and I'm have the privilege and responsibility of being the president of the United Farm Workers. And I always liked being around the secretary because of the fact that he's one of the other few people that I see here in Washington, D.C. wearing boots all the time. So it's great to be here, Mr. Secretary. We both got on our black boots today, so we're in sync. We are both the nation's largest union of farm workers and part of the larger farm worker movement. We are proud to be a part of a group of individuals within the agricultural industry seeking to create a safe and just food supply. Secretary Vilsack has been a leader in trying to help build a safe and just food supply for the United States. As Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack has understood that we must have a food supply that works for the entire nation, and that the mission of the U.S. Department of Agriculture must include justice for all those within the ag industry. His leadership has meant working to support all those who are working hard to supply food to our nation, all farmers and farm workers. He has fought to support and include the diverse group of Americans who are working as farmers throughout the nation. Supporting a diverse group of farmers has meant having a more diverse staff and leadership team. It has meant coming to legal settlements that honor all of those who work in farming. Building a safe, just, and food supply means getting input from all the sectors of those who make up the agricultural industry, both farmers and farm workers. As simple as it might sound, to my knowledge, Cesar Chavez, our founder, never had the opportunity to come and to visit here the Department of Agriculture or to be in this building. But today, while there is a Cesar Chavez Hall of Fame, a Cesar Chavez Day is celebrated in big states like California and Texas, and there are national proclamations. Cesar Chavez, as I mentioned, had never been a part of this. Secretary Vilsack has understood that leadership means getting opinions and input from a diverse group of stakeholders, and then acting on that input. As just one example, Secretary Vilsack has been a leader in trying to fix our nation's immigration system. In his first year as Secretary of Agriculture, the Secretary visited farms and met with farmers and farm workers together and heard about the desperate need to change our immigration system. Secretary Vilsack has understood that if we are ever going to have a safe and just food supply and protect our nation's food, we need to fix our broken immigration system. We need an immigration system that honors the women and men working to feed all of us and not treat them as if they are criminals. We hope that one day soon, just as people here today might be shocked to learn that we were not a part of the Agricultural Department in that respect, that people will look back and gasp when they hear that in the past, there were those who thought that those who feed us, citizens, don't deserve also a chance to become U.S. citizens. Secretary Vilsack, on behalf of farm workers, we thank you for your leadership and your respect. I am glad that your portrait will hang in this building, that in some way this portrait will remind the next generation of leadership of the role of agricultural workers. Si se puede, it can be done.
I tried to defer to seniority, but and when they get, if those people that know me know that it's probably unusual for me to be at a deal like this. When they said that I have the opportunity to be at a hanging for Tom Vilsack, I thought, How can I turn that down? But in all seriousness, I didn't know Tom before he got this job. I watched him when he ran for president. I was impressed with what he did and what he knew, and he came to D.C. At the time, I was chairman of the Ag Committee. We had just come off of passing the Farm Bill, 2008. Not an easy job. We had gone through quite a bit to get there. And it was up to the department, of course, to implement it. And so Tom and I set off on an adventure where I think we met every week for lunch. One week I'd come here, next week he'd come to the Hill, and we did that for, I guess, as long as I was chairman. And we did a little bit afterwards, but things changed. But anyway, and I wasn't completely happy with how it was implemented, but you're never going to get everything you want. And the thing is that they took a hold of it and they moved on things. And one of the reasons was because Tom said, we're going to get this done. We're going to make it happen. And during the time I got to know him and had these visits with him, I became more knowledgeable about what he was facing here within the department. And those of you that have been secretaries know this is a massive department with, I think, almost more employees than anybody else in government, maybe except DOD. And Tom inherited a lot of issues, personnel issues, civil rights issues, all kinds of things that people wouldn't think about and wouldn't equate with the agriculture department. Computer issues. They were still using System 36s, if you know what that is. So I mean, it was a challenge, and Tom did a great job in responding. Oh, I turned the lights off, huh? Responding to all of the challenges, and he deferred to us. I think Frank Lucas would say they were very helpful as we did the Farm Bill in 2014. Their attitude was, we're going to do what we can to help. But they didn't get in the way, didn't get in there with things. We were having enough trouble on our own, right, Frank? Getting through the situation. And so they just did a great job. And Tom, during the whole time that he's been at the department, that's what I've been impressed with, is that he really gets it. He knows when to kind of lay back and provide support, and then he knows when to provide leadership when it's needed. And one of the things that I would point out where he provided leadership and stuck his neck out before anybody else did, almost, was on the GMO issue. Probably one of the most important issues in agriculture, very important issue in my district, and not understood by a lot of folks, why it's important and what the issues were and all of that. And Tom, I remember, Frank, we were over at his house having dinner, and he was talking to us about smart labels. 2-3 years ago? Frank and I said, what the heck are you talking about anyway, He was trying to explain to us about phones and so forth and so on. So he was way out in front, and he was sticking his neck out on an issue that probably some in the administration were on the other side, I would guess. But that's the way he's been. He's provided the kind of leadership that this department has needed. He's just been an outstanding Secretary of Agriculture. That's why I'm here today, to pay my respects and say thank you to Tom Vilsack, his wife Krysta, and their service to our country. So thank you very much. And with that, I defer to the real senior members in agriculture, Mr. Roberts.
Memo says that you are limited to 2 minutes for all senators, and apparently yours was for 5 minutes. First time that's ever happened in the House and Senate, I can assure you. Like Henry VIII said to one of his wives, I won't keep you long. I'm struck by, from Ed Madigan down there, Dan Glickman, Ann Veneman, Mike, how you doing? Mike's behind me. That's where he was in the Ag Committee, too, all the time. I must tell you that Dan called me the night before and said that he hadn't taken time to get his gray suit pressed. Would I do that? And I got stuck in traffic, had to call him an emergency, and that's what happened. Secretary Vilsack is our nation's 30th Secretary of Agriculture. Tom has been a mayor, he's been a state senator, he's been a governor, and now secretary. January 14, 2009 was his confirmation hearing in front of the illustrious and all-powerful Senate Agriculture Committee. However, while he is approaching 8 years in this building, Tom is not the longest-serving Secretary of Ag. He's not even the longest-serving Secretary of Ag from Iowa. That distinction belongs to Secretary James Wilson, who served 16 years under Presidents McKinley, Roosevelt, and Taft. I enjoyed working with him very much. Tom, it's a rumor. Tom, heard you were spotted at Trump Tower yesterday. I think the president-elect asked you if you would stick around and make a run at Secretary Wilson's record. I'm for you. Tom and his wife, obviously, Krysta, have 2 sons and 2 daughters-in-law, 4 grandchildren. The Vilsacks have hosted Mrs. Roberts and myself for dinner, along with other Ag leadership members. We've enjoyed those opportunities to visit, and I tried real hard not to mention crop insurance during dessert. During Tom's confirmation, I heard him say that he would be a spokesman and a champion for rural America and U.S. farmers and ranchers. At times, we may have disagreed on policy and tactics, but never, never on his purpose, my service as well, all of us who are privileged to serve on the Senate and House Ag Committees to rural America. Tom, thank you. Thank you for that service and your dedication. I often talk about the need to have a good ag posse to protect and grow agriculture in rural America. You've ridden point. Thank you for leading our posse. Some of us had to ride drag, but that's the way it is. And you've ridden point through some pretty rough canyons, and we thank you for that. I think you mentioned the biotech bill. We don't say those other letters. I wish you all the best in your next endeavor, and will think fondly of our work together when I see your portrait hanging in this historic building. Like Dan and like Ann Veneman, when I come in here, I always say, hi, Dan, hi, Ann, hi, Mike, hi, Tom. Now, if you answer me back, that's going to be something else. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Roberts, you're a hoot. It's good to see everybody, especially fun to be here for you, Mr. Secretary and Mrs. Vilsack. I started thinking about what am I going to say today so I won't cry. Because as we know, I do cry easy. And what can I do maybe to make you smile a little bit and me not cry? It's hard. So I'm going to tell a little story about when you fired me. And it obviously worked. I'm not here anymore, but this was a long time ago. You won't remember this, but I had nightmares for a long time, and I never made this confession to you. I had just become chief of staff, just a month or so, and I was still learning my way around what to do, how to do it. It was tough. It was a hard job, hardest I've ever had, probably. And a friend in the dairy industry called me and asked if she could bring in some dairy producers. The last minute, they're in town, and dairy was in very tough times. So I went to Sally and looked at the schedule, and there was a block, so I went in and said, explain the situation. He said, yeah, sure, that's fine. So just a few minutes, if you'll do a drive-by, The rest of the folks will have the meeting. So several folks, and the main guy was from Pennsylvania. So the secretary's very compassionate, as he always is, and taught and listened mainly to these dairy producers for a long time. And he was about to leave the room and kind of turn it over to us. He just looked at the guy from Pennsylvania and said, "Steelers or Eagles?" Wrong question, worst answer ever. This dairy producer said Eagles and starts, getting all excited. And the secretary, without missing a beat, any flinch, looks at me and says, "You're fired. You brought me in here to meet with Eagles fans?" And my heart is like, oh, I don't know. He did not give away anything. Stood up, and this poor farmer is trying so hard to dig himself out of this hole that he's put me in by saying that his son has a Steelers jersey. His grandfather went to a Super Bowl, or somebody, I can't remember, went to a Super Bowl one time when they won and they were happy. It didn't matter. The secretary just kept on walking. And this poor man is like, ma'am, I don't think we have jobs, but we'll help you. And I'm like, I think it's going to be fine. And I'm like crossing my toes and my fingers, not knowing. This poor guy's like sweating and just so upset. Secretary's gone back to his office. The door's kind of closed loudly. This poor dairy producer is in a panic. I'm kind of in one too. I'm trying to be cool, very professional, thinking, where is that resume? Who can be my references? I obviously just lost one. So I go back to my office, and for those who know this setup, the chief of staff's office is just a door connecting to the secretary's door. So I waited till I had my composure so I could go in and not cry or beg or whatever. This is like March, and I've been chief of staff since January. So I knock on the door, no answer. Knock louder, no answer. I thought, well, heck, I'm just going in. And so I walked in. I said, "Sir, I'm sorry, to interrupt. Can I just ask you, am I really fired?" And he just looked up from reading and looked back down. I said, "I'm going to take that unless you say more, that I'm not fired and I still have a job." And I went back in my office. I have a bunch of stories about you, sir, but I'm not going to do it. I am not going to do it because people want to get on, and I certainly want to see the portrait and they want to hear from you. But the other thing that I will say, the toughest year of my adult life is the year that Krysta Vilsack was not here and was in Iowa most of the time. There became, at one point, a daily run of how many days that they had been separated. And when it got to about 21, I went to Sally and said, "Can you call her staff and find a place for them to meet?" He's just not happy. And this means I am very unhappy. This is a tough life. This is tough. I've never known anyone so devoted to their spouse. That's why I love you the most, sir. I really do. And to your family. And we all love Christy too. Now I'm going to introduce a video, which is going to be a little bit of a surprise, and I think they had me introduce it because I don't work here anymore and nobody's going to lose their job. But I think that you will enjoy it. A lot of folks who care about you, love you, or are interested in you have contributed to this, and I hope you find it to be fun. If it doesn't work, it's not my fault.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hello, I'm Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack,
Hello, I'm Tom Vilsack.
currently the United States Secretary of Agriculture and formerly the Governor of the great state of Iowa.
Make this part of the national dialogue.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Tom Vilsack.
The Vilsack attack.
Brother, you've been an inspiration to me. I just want to thank you for everything you've done for Iowa, for America, and for working men and women.
Tom, congratulations on making it all the way through the cabinet. You have been a spectacular Secretary of Agriculture. I look forward to working with you for many years to come. But just remember, because of your efforts, you have made Virginia the greatest state and the greatest nation on earth. Thanks.
Tom Vilsack is a great mentor, a good colleague, and a wonderful friend. He's done a superb job for the president, for the country, and for the people he cares so much about. Congratulations, Tom.
My dear friend, I know we're gonna miss you. I cannot wait to see what is gonna be next in your life. And let's all together make sure that farming and food is what always will improve the world. You, my friend, you show the way to all of us. Thank you.
We are USDA at the White House, and we're here because of you. We are proud to serve you,
rural America, and all Americans.
Thank you for your service and your leadership.
From your senior team,
Thank you.
Tom, it was my great privilege to work with you. It's even a greater privilege to call you my friend. And I wish you the best and safe travels down whatever road you may choose. May our paths soon cross again.
You truly will go down in history as one of the greatest Secretaries of Agriculture, and it meant all the world to me to have the opportunity that you gave me to work with you.
He's been an inspirational leader to all of us at Share Our Strength and all of us in the anti-hunger community. Thanks, Tom.
In a word, you have been spectacular. So thank you so much for your contribution and your commitment and all the sacrifices I know you made over the last 8 years to make sure that this country and our agricultural system were under continuous improvement.
8 years as Secretary, an amazing accomplishment. Thank you for everything you did for rural America and for the Farm Bill process.
You've made a real difference in people's lives, and it's been my honor and my pleasure to be your partner.
I wanted to say thanks to Krysta and to all the Vilsacks for sharing Tom with the country for the last 8 years. Tom, I have to say we're grateful for you, man, for everything you've done. All the best.
With him, it is always about us. It is never about him. Congratulations on an awesome 8 years, Mr. Secretary.
There's so many things I just love about Tom Vilsack. But you know, I have one problem with him. Just one thing, I think he just never's given a fair chance. And that's boiled peanuts. I don't think he ever tasted one. It's just so disappointing. Boiled peanuts, they're a Southern delicacy. I love you anyway, Mr. Secretary.
I'm Carter Scudder, and I approve this message.
Among the many things you've done as Secretary, I hope you will rank highly saving the poultry industry. You will leave a towering legacy in USDA.
You and your team implemented 2 different farm bills and in a great way, and I appreciate that on behalf of all of production agriculture.
I want to say thank you, and I know, because I've talked to them, that there are people across this country in every community, rural and urban, who are immensely grateful for your leadership.
Secretary Vilsack, I don't know if anyone else at the USDA has had the privilege of calling you my mayor, state senator, and governor. Congrats and good luck.
The thing I love about him the most is that when Tom Vilsack is in the room, his heart is always in the room. You can always feel it, and it guides his work every single day, and the country's better off for it. Thank you, Tom.
Tom, you have always been there for our nation's firefighters, working men and women, and our nation. You are truly an American champion and inspiration. I'm proud to call you my friend.
Mr. Secretary, congratulations, best wishes, and we hope to see you soon in your next endeavor. From everyone here in the Office of the Chief Economist to you.
You've done a great job. You've been a good friend to me. We've, I think, worked well together, and we've been able to accomplish a lot of good things for the country.
On behalf of our nation's family farmers and ranchers and the entire Farmers Union family, thank you, Mr. Secretary, for 8 years of exemplary service.
Thank you, Tom Vilsack, for all you've done to open USDA's doors wider and invite everyone into the People's Department.
You're creative, you think boldly, and you advance others who are
following in your footsteps, trying to be bold and creative.
I can't think of anybody I more admire in public service or who's been a better secretary, not just of the Department of Agriculture, but you're the best of the best.
Tom Vilsack, thank you for what you've done. I look forward to watching as you continue to serve our country and whatever comes next for you.
Mr. Secretary, congratulations on setting such an incredible basis for the future success of American agriculture. You've laid a wonderful foundation for global food security.
Thank you for always being a gracious boss, an awesome boss, and allowing me the opportunity to do occasional White House trips as well.
I've been awed by your intellect. I applaud your tenacity, and I've been inspired by the way you constructed policies and programs.
I also want to personally thank you for all your support as I've taken on a new responsibility this year of being a father. You've been such a great role model for me, not only professionally but personally, and it's meant a lot to me.
It's been a wonderful run. You've made an enormous contribution to conservation that will last far after we leave this place, and I thank you.
Sir, I do promise to be a better Dallas Cowboys fan, unless they're playing the Steelers, of course. One more. And I think that's you calling me, and you probably want a coffee, so I'll see you soon, sir.
That was pretty cool, sir. We're almost time for the big moment, but first I want to make sure that we recognize our wonderful artist, Rose Franson, and her husband, Chuck. They're sitting here in the front row. You can read about her on the back of the program. I was happened to be involved. I was chief of staff when Rose was selected and the portrait was done. And just for folks who don't know, she does not paint from photographs. So it required a lot of patience by her subject, and a lot of, it wasn't always easy, Rose, as you will remember. There were times when he would fuss and fuss. I'm like, you picked the artist, not me. You decided on that, but I think once you see this, you will know that it was a perfect choice, and that Rose is just so immensely talented. And the process, though tedious at times, will be very worth it. I'm sure you'll agree, sir. And so, please, you and Mrs. Vilsack come up, and I think it's time to pull the cord.
An inspiration to me. I just want to thank you for everything you've done for Iowa,
Just pull it down.
America, and for working men and women.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, folks. Thank you. Thank you. There are so many people to thank, and let me just say at the outset that this may take just a few minutes, and I appreciate your patience with this, but I feel really strongly that I need to thank an incredible number of people. And I also realize that I can't name a lot of folks because, as Kathleen indicated, once you start down that path, you're going to forget somebody. So I'm going to lump folks a little bit together here. But I do want to thank Broderick and Arturo for being here. It means a lot to me. I mean, I get through this. You're my friends. You have taught me a tremendous amount. I really appreciate Collin Peterson and Pat Roberts being here. I remember my first contact with Collin Peterson. It was a phone call. I was in the basement of some building that I was coming into, and this guy from Minnesota was calling me, and it's before I had congressional relations people, and you know, I didn't know who this guy was. Holy mackerel. Scared the living daylights out of me. But those lunches made a big difference. and I just have profound respect for Collin and for all of the people who serve in Congress on the Ag Committee. I do want to also acknowledge Frank Lucas and Mike Conaway. These guys, I've worked with both. I've worked with people on both sides, and that's the beauty of the Ag Committee. That it is as bipartisan a place as you will find in Washington, D.C. So I've been blessed both in the House and the Senate to work with great people. Sam Farr on the appropriations side, another great guy, and the list goes on. I want to acknowledge Rose because you know, she's just an incredibly talented artist, and the key here, I think, and I'll try to explain why this portrait has as much stuff in it as it does. She did a remarkable set of portraits of people in Mucokota, Iowa that were inspiring to me because she was painting my friends and the people that I care deeply about back home. And she found a way of capturing the essence of each of those 80 people she painted. And what was amazing is that when you put the portraits together, on the back of the portrait is this incredible landscape of the Mucokota area. So she was the only artist that I could think of that would be in a position to do justice, not to me, but to the department. I want to thank Carla and Sally who helped to arrange this, and I want to thank especially Kathleen and Krysta. You know, being a deputy along with Michael Skews is not an easy job. It's a very difficult job, and it's a particularly difficult job in a department that has so much going on. And all three of these individuals have been just absolutely incredibly important to the operation of this department, and I consider them friends for life, and I will be forever indebted to them. I really appreciate the former secretaries being here today. I do remember Dan Glickman and Ann Veneman coming into my office early, sitting on the couch and advising me that I had a problem with civil rights. You know, I didn't think I had a problem with civil rights. They were obviously talking about the department. But you know, in the 8 years I've been here, I've learned a lot about civil rights. And I've learned a lot about this country. And I've learned an awful lot about myself and the importance of respecting and understanding that each of us may be 99% the same, but there's 1% of us that's different. And it's that 1% that when you combine it with other 1%, you ultimately get an incredibly creative and innovative place to work. Incredible problem solving. So perhaps but for that recommendation and that strong recommendation from two folks who've had this job, I don't know whether we would have been as focused on this, but I will tell you we're a better department for the advice that you've given us, and I thank you for that. And John Block, you didn't talk about civil rights. You limited it to one word. You said trade. Trade. Every time I met you, after good morning or good to see you, Mr. Secretary, it was trade. And you were right about that, because it's an important consideration for markets. And I will tell you, Mr. Secretary, we just passed the $1 trillion mark for 8 years of this administration, which is the best 8 years we've ever had, in large part because of the advice you provided. So thank you for being here. One of the greatest governors, but not the greatest governor in America, because I still think of former governors as being governors, Governor McCollum. Terry, thank you. And more importantly, thanks to Dorothy. You folks are an incredible couple. You've done amazing things for the Commonwealth, and really have appreciated the friendship that we've had over the years. And I look forward to continuing working with you. So this portrait is about the department. I happen to be in it because I have to be in it, but it's about the department. And if you look at all of the things that are displayed here, you're going to see a little bit about what this department has done over the course of 8 years. This department has essentially guaranteed a healthier generation of young people through the work that we've done in nutrition, and that's displayed. This department is obviously home to the Forest Service, which is an incredible natural resource and a treasure. And we've seen forest planning rule, first one in 30 years. We've seen a real concerted effort to modernize the air fleet to fight these fires, and hopefully with time and a little more help from our friends in Congress, we can get to a point where we solve the fire budget so it's not taking up 60% of the budget, that it's actually going to go towards forest management and a healthier forest system. You know, this is about water and conservation, record number of acres enrolled in conservation, new regional opportunities to leverage resources based on the permission that Congress gave us. That's reflected in this portrait. The bottle is a plastic bottle. It reflects the amazing investment that we've made in the bio-based economy, creating manufacturing opportunities, which is helping to drive down the unemployment rate in rural areas and helping to reduce poverty. And the result of that is the lowest food insecurity rate among children in our nation's history. In the back there is a statue of the Minuteman, and that really is the National Guard. The Iowa National Guard gave that to me when I was governor. It's the largest and best and the highest civilian award that can go to an individual. But to me, what it represents is what happens in rural America, that mothers and fathers instill in their children and grandchildren an understanding and appreciation that this is a great country. This is an amazing place to be fortunate enough to have been born in or to have come to. And that as a result of the incredible gifts that we get from this country, of the freedoms and liberties that we experience, we have a responsibility to give something back. And every speech I give, I always point out that 15% of America's population can contribute anywhere up to 35 to 40% of military. It is about the value system that is alive and well in rural areas, about giving something back, about understanding you can't keep taking from the land, you got to give something back. And when you do, when you treat the land right, when you treat your country right, it gives something back to you. So there are a multitude of examples in that portrait of things that we have done at USDA. There is a picture of Abe Lincoln, which reflects the incredible work, Joe Leonard, that we've done on civil rights. And it is a reminder of back home. It was done by a near and dear friend who passed away while I've been secretary, Lennis Moore. It's an incredible portrait that has been done here. And in the corner, you see George Washington Carver and Henry Wallace. And Henry Wallace was the last person to have this job from Iowa, to have a constitutionally constituted cabinet position since me. And George Washington Carver received his formal education at Iowa State and Simpson College in Iowa. It's an incredible reminder of the power of innovation. And we've seen a remarkable increase in the number of patents and innovations coming out of our scientists at ARS. We've had incredible innovation here, folks. Our food safety folks have done incredible work making the world a safer place. And we've reached out to our farm families. We've helped them through disasters. With the tools that Congress has provided and the Farm Bill, we've provided the highest level of credit ever. We've made disaster payments when it was needed. We've figured out ways to expand access to crop insurance and risk management. I mean, there is just a tremendous amount of work that has been done here, and I'm hopeful that this portrait reflects that amazing work. So there are a lot of people to be thanked. First, the deputy secretaries, which I've mentioned before, and the sub-cabinet. I have been blessed with just tremendous people working with me. My senior staff, my chiefs of staff, have been just incredibly dedicated. And the entire political team, the SEDs in other states throughout the United States have been hardworking, committed, dedicated, working extra hours. Our press shop, getting the message out. Our Congressional Relations Office that's, I think, made my life a lot easier by making sure that the concerns that members of Congress have, and there are incredible members here today, are responded to. The people who are in scheduling in advance. I asked the other day for airline miles. Christy was interested in whether we had accumulated any airline miles. So I thought to myself, well, I'd probably have, 25,000 air miles. One airline I've got 700,000 miles. Another airline I got 400,000 miles, and another airline I got 300,000 miles. And I thought, well, boy, that's quite a bit. They say, oh man, you've already used a lot of your miles. So there's been a lot of travel here, and every one of those trips has to be scheduled, has to be advanced. just incredible. And in the video, Omar was the last person. You know, I've had special assistants like Omar who have done incredible work for me to make my life easier and better. But in addition to the political team, and I've been so proud of them, what a great career staff we here at USDA. What a great group of career people. I got to tell you, these people have, you know, people have worked here for a long period of time. They've never lost their passion, never lost their commitment to rural America and to the children of America. You know, these are caring people, hardworking people, and they're reflective of the values that we support with our work. And oftentimes the folks at the budget and policy, the CFO, the CIO, OGC, DM, they don't get the attention, they don't get the acknowledgement. But none of this happens without all of these hardworking people. And I've been here on weekends, I've been here late at night, I've been here early in the morning, and there are always, always, always people working here. This is an incredible department. The people who work at the mission area is committed. There are a couple of special groups that you might not think of that need to be helped, but, and I said this earlier, and I might choke up again. I'm fortunate to have a security detail. And as long as I live, the image I will have of the security detail is of a trip I took to Afghanistan early in the administration, first administration. We were supposed to go down to a farmer's market that we had helped to create with our investments in agriculture, and just prior to that, there had been some confusion and some potential security risk. And as I walked out, there were 4 of these members of the security detail who were fully armed and fully vested with protective gear, who surrounded me. And I realized as I was walking down to that farmer's market, in a pretty dangerous place in the world, that if something happened and someone decided to do something, that any one or all 4 of these people would be willing to put their life on the line for me. I spend more time with those guys than I do anybody else, and I'll be forever grateful to them. Another person who took care of me and kept me safe was a guy who drove me for many, many years, Sam Shanklin. And he drove John Block, he drove Ian Veneman, he drove Dan Glickman, drove Abe Lincoln. He drove us all. But he's an example of a dedicated member of this USDA career staff. Just incredible people. The people that work in the correspondence shop, you know, we get thousands of letters, and I've been encouraging them to respond to letters. The folks who work in the front office, who answer the phones, you know, these are people you don't think about, but every day as I walk out of that office or walk into the office, the phone's ringing. It could be somebody who's frustrated, it could be somebody who's angry, it could be somebody that is anxious about something. And these folks just handle these call after call, day after day, with incredible grace. The members of the House and the Senate who are here today are representative of a lot of dedicated folks, and I appreciate not only their presence here, but also that of their staff and the work that we've done collectively and collaboratively. There are people here today that represent advisory groups and advocacy groups, whether they're labor unions like Arturo represents, or whether they're conservation organizations or organizations that represent our farmers and ranchers. They have been incredibly helpful to us. They have provided us advice and counsel, sometimes appropriate criticism. The former secretaries I've mentioned before, the sister agencies, I am, you know, forever grateful for the folks who are here today that we have worked. You all are going to get a handwritten note from me, Sally, just so you know. And as I was writing these notes, I realized how many times we worked together, on how many issues we worked together, and how much good we've done. I am just incredibly blessed to have worked with the members of the President's cabinet, with Roderick and his team at the White House, with Cecilia, who was, and Dennis. These are really, really good people, and they have done an amazing job for the country, and I am just so grateful for the friendships. And Chris Lewis here, and Chris was the former Broderick, and now he works over at Labor, and just a tremendous guy. These are really good people, and they have been very understanding of our needs over here at USDA, and I will be forever grateful. I have friends here today. I have David Wiggins, who's a member of the Iowa Supreme Court. He's been a friend for many, many decades. He came from Iowa. I've got Matt McKenna I went to school with in college. You know, there are times, and everyone here, there are times when times are tough and things aren't going well, and you need somebody to talk to and you need somebody to listen. And I've been just blessed with incredible friends every stage of my life, and many of them are here today. I've been incredibly thankful for the press. Now, that may come as a surprise to members of Congress. That's not normally you don't see somebody like us thank the press. But we have a message here, not about the work that's done here, but about the importance of rural America and the people that live in rural America. And there are people out there that work every single day with us to make sure that people get that message. The local and regional press, the folks who work here, the farm broadcasters, they are as committed to rural America as anyone else here. And I will always be appreciative of their willingness to work with us to get the message out. I'm incredibly thankful, and will be for the rest of my life, to the President and the Vice President, the First Lady, and Dr. Biden. All four of them have meant something to me. Vice President Biden ran for president in 1986, and Christy and I were supporters of the Vice President. He did a video with young people in which he basically was quoting a Greek philosopher that the penalty for not getting involved is that people less qualified than you end up governing you. And when the mayor of our small town was shot and killed, and the mayor's father came into my law office and asked if I would consider running for mayor, I remembered the words of Vice President Biden, and I was inspired by them. He has been a friend ever since then. He understood the importance of this department and understood the work. I have on my desk, and will always have on my desk, a little card that he slipped to me during one of the cabinet meetings that just simply said, "Hang on." Okay, we were talking about the Recovery Act and the economy at that time. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. The First Lady of the United States has been an incredible champion for kids. And she wants the best for America's children. And she has worked with us on nutrition issues. And now with 4 grandkids, you know, when you start out life in an orphanage and you start off in that way, you don't know much about yourself. And I often say to audiences, I knew that I was a well-fed kid in the orphanage because I was really chunky when I was adopted. But making sure that our kids get a healthy start in life is incredibly important, and she has been ferocious in her efforts in that respect, and she is going to be blessed with future generations of Americans that are healthier and happier and more productive because of her work. Dr. Biden has been an incredible champion for community colleges and that link for many, many, many people who need that additional training and work just to get that better job. A community college system that sometimes gets forgotten when we talk about K-12, or we talk about pre-K, or we talk about universities or land-grant universities. That community college system is incredibly important, and Dr. Biden has been just an amazing spokesperson. And then there's the President. Collin Peterson was kind enough to make reference to the fact that I briefly ran for president. In fact, his comments were longer than the campaign. You know, when you run against a guy briefly, and when you then become the national co-chair of his principal opponent, you're not supposed to get jobs like this. It's not the way it works. But this president was different. This president was concerned and wanted someone who was passionate and who cared deeply about this place called rural America and that understood and appreciated the need for leadership at the USDA. And he was willing to overlook the past and to focus on the future. And there, no doubt, were times when he could have easily made a different decision, and he didn't. He gave me this incredible opportunity to serve for almost 8 years. He gave me the freedom to do things at the department When we wanted to settle the lawsuits, we had to convince the Department of Justice to be able to do that. We could not have done that on the civil rights side without the president basically directing it. This has been an incredible job, and I owe it to him and to the people of Iowa who gave me an opportunity to be their governor. Last, but certainly in no way, shape, or form the least, 48 years we've known each other. We've just been incredibly blessed with 2 wonderful children, 2 great daughters-in-law, and 4 beautiful grandchildren. But I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't have had any success in my life, absolutely no success in my life at all, if I had met Krysta. She has been a source of wisdom and inspiration. It may be difficult for folks to understand, but I'm sort of an introverted kind of guy, and I'm not really comfortable in situations like this. And going into a crowded room and shaking hands was not something I'd prefer. I'd go in a corner and read a book. That'd be fine. Krysta gave me the confidence. She gave me the confidence to go out and put myself on the line, which every person who runs for public office does, and every person who holds a public office does. When I needed a shoulder, she provided it. When I needed a little kick, she didn't hesitate. When I needed just somebody to sit and listen, she was there. She's always been there. The photograph. The photograph in the portrait is a picture of my family, and it is a reminder to me of what's important in life. And I leave with this, that you, all of you who are here today, are part of our family. You've cared for us and cared about us. We're not going to forget what you've done for us. And I hope for those who, at some point in time, and we all will at some point in time, who are connected to USDA, walk out of this for the last time, that you hold your head incredibly high. This is a wonderful, wonderful place. People say, why did you stay 8 years? Simply, simple reason. I love the people I work with, and I love the people I work for. This is the greatest nation on earth, in large part because of people who work in this department. And I'll be forever grateful for the privilege to have served here. Thank you, and God bless you all.
He's still the boss, and he says, sit down. Thank you, sir. Just one small token, sir, from the staff that is, it was too big to put all the pictures in there, but it's just a small token.
Well, thank you very much.
That kind of captures the 8 years. A lot of good memories there, sir.
Yes, indeed. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for coming today. Thank you for being here and for honoring our great secretary. There were refreshments, time to mix and mingle and enjoy this beautiful portrait. So thank you for coming.